Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and your Oklahoma Sooners are off to a 5-0 start after a 44-0 shutout of the Kent State Golden Flashes. I think this was a game that we expected Oklahoma to be dominant in. I thought that they, for the most part, absolutely were. There were some issues here and there. But we also expected it not to be perfect, Jameson.
We didn't cover, Bobby. Good teams.
We didn't cover. I know. And I will say it was a performance that, it didn't go smoothly, and they still were that close to covering. So
yeah, the fourth quarter being a 0 and getting Whit Neubauer going in was not really the move that we were looking forward to.
I mean, yeah, the cover is irrelevant. We saw not a perfect performance from Michael Hawkins Jr., but it was we could have scored whatever we wanted to in that game. So it was, we'll talk about the spread a little bit later. But obviously, one big thing I think we should get out of the way, probably the biggest talking point from this game, certainly the one thing that everyone in media saw is, as an OU fan, right, you go into these games and you expect to see a giant hit from R. Mason, but you don't expect to see a giant hit from our Mason Reed. And that was a crazy, crazy impact into that brick wall that I think we just have to talk about.
You out here talking about bricks.
Dude, this is only coming up.
That was awful.
That was joke.
No, that was I didn't know if we were going to lead with that. That was genuinely awful, man. Like, especially in person. Like when you couldn't see down there. I'm glad that he's okay. I'm so glad that he's okay, because it was as bad of an injury as I've ever seen on Owen Field. Yeah.
From the stands, I will say, Bobby, if you really watch the replay play close, some of that contact is taken on by the shoulder pad. And I guarantee you that's why a lot of the reports right now are optimistic, because he was kind of a dual force to the head and neck area as well as to the shoulder pad.
Right. Yeah, and I suppose that makes sense. I haven't really watched much of a replay.
I watched that on replay. I do that. Yeah, I was looking.
I'm more squeamish than you, James, and I can't Zapruder film this. It's not.
It was definitely quite the impact. It was, but like Jameson was saying, you could see it, because of the angle of the impact too. His helmet was able to function. Obviously, they're not designed to run into a brick wall, but it was able to. You could see some flex because of the face mask, and then some sliding where you could definitely see some dissipation of energy as well.
Yeah, and it's like
you got to go abundance of caution, right? When someone face plants into a brick wall at full speed, I think that we're taking that for sure that the X-rays were negative. He got sent off, and that likely means he's getting a CT scan, a more high-end X-ray to kind of look better at the vertebrae and the cervical spine, just to make sure that there's nothing that there's broken that they couldn't see on an ordinary X-ray. Because X-rays of the neck, they're good. You can see obvious things, but sometimes it's really easy to miss fractures of necks on X-rays alone. So that's whatever the CT scan. But it seems like all the reports from the radio crew, the team, and the post game, been all optimistic. He's up and around walking, and the way that he was moving all four extremities, that just shows you that's really, really optimistic for his prognosis moving forward. But I think the biggest thing, honestly, is what we need to take a look at is we can't forget that John Mateer also threw him a hospital ball a couple weeks ago, and then he didn't go into concussion protocol. So he passed concussion protocol then and didn't get put in. And it makes you think, did he actually have a concussion and we missed it? And now is this a second concussion in a short amount of time? Those are, whenever you're talking medically, that's something that you get really concerned about. It's you do not want two head injuries back to back really close to each other, because that's a thing called second impact. And you do not screw with that.
Right. And I think it's something you have to be very careful with. I think it's one of those things where, especially in the moment, you're thinking, something a lot more severe than concussions are serious business without a doubt. But we were all thinking it would be way more severe than that. And, if it's another concussion and you shut them down for the season or shut them down for several weeks,
they won't shut him down.
Not a season. I don't know.
Unless he has a broken neck. It's not, the concussion won't do it.
then
just remember, Tua came back from what looked like miserable 2 concussions in the span.
I don't know if that's the best example
possible. I mean, but what I'm saying is people
just remember Antonio Brown played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh God. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. But hopefully we can get him back sooner rather than later for sure.
Yeah.
Scary incident. They probably have to put up some padding around there. I don't know how much
have that kind of brick kind of surrounding, right? We're not alone. It's like I feel like everyone was like kind of like, come after us. There's at least one team in the SEC that I know has something similar to that. It's like Ole Miss or something. I don't know, but I always realize that whenever I'm watching their game, it's not Ole Miss. I'll find it. I'm just gonna peruse through.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting, and the information that I'm working on, obviously we wouldn't have made the joke to start off, is that he is sort of in just a concussion protocol right now. We're being fairly quiet about it, but I've not seen any. There's an Oklahoman article from 3 hours ago, as of time of recording, on Sunday evening here, that appears that it's just down to a concussion protocol at this point. So that's certainly promising, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor or some sort of engineer, but it does seem like the angle of impact and the speed is like, I don't know if padding that wall really would have made, if you're talking about that little, 2-inch thick, like you see in a gymnasium, I don't know if that would have done a whole lot. Like, I think he's still on the ground for 10 minutes and getting carted off. Like and then had the angle been much worse, which thankfully it wasn't, like, that padding's not like, if you spear something like that padding's not going to do anything for you.
It's all about it's all about Newton's second law. Is it second law? One's the equal but opposite reaction one? Whatever that one is. It's been a while since I've been in school. If you're running really fast at something and you go against an immovable force, it's going to hit you just as hard as you hit it.
Yeah. And that wall's been there forever. Maybe not in brick form, but that's been around Owen Field forever. Like as long as you have ever seen pictures of that stadium, there has been a wall that strong. Maybe not with bricks, but not cushy.
It's another reason for hedges.
Sorry, I had to get out of there. Yeah. People are saying like this guy's got a high-end degree. You can't remember Newton's third law. F equals MA second law, guys. Sorry, physics not nowhere over here.
Yeah, but
beating the Caribbean school allegations.
Good Lord,
not go to Caribbean school, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. God. Okay, so let's get on to some more of the game itself. Hawkins Jr., I thought, was all right. I don't think he was bad. He looked like somewhat improved, but I don't think he's, this massive leaps and bounds type of quarterback, or at least what we saw on Saturday that, some practice reports were making him out to be. Where's your confidence level in Hawkins Jr. Potentially entering the Cotton Bowl?
This feels like an ESPN segment right now. The 1 to 10 panic meter.
I'm not trying to give you a panic meter. I'm just trying to say, where are you at?
The panic meter is just the opposite of the confident meter. So, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. My confidence in Hawkins coming into this game was probably, in terms of like, if Mateer is a 10, I would say Hawkins, I was probably at around a 6. I'm probably at around a 4 right now. There's just some throwing mechanics things that just kind of got me a little bit nervous, throwing off balance. He had some good arm angle throws, but his accuracy and his composure just was something that I was hoping to see a little bit more in growth. And I get that it could be a completely different game after game number 2, but also you're going against a much more stout Texas defense.
Yeah, one thing I thought, and I might be completely off here, but it almost looked to me a few times like Hawkins had either watched a bunch of John Mateer tape or just through practice was just trying to be like John Mateer. Like, I don't remember him doing like a very exaggerated like sidearm throw like I saw him pull out a couple times this weekend. So I don't know, but I would say my thing for Hawkins is kind of like we talked about with Mateer, and I'm just going to keep using this, I guess, until the end of next week at least. But right, you can turn that dial of aggressiveness up and down, at least with like the runs, which Hawkins I think has a little bit more run potential than Mateer does, actually. Maybe not as much vision, but he certainly is a faster runner. So we can certainly risk taking more of those hits, but I do have to get the jab in because it's Texas hate week. I would rather have Michael Hawkins than Arch Manning, probably, because like at least Michael Hawkins can run. So like that does need to be said. And that, like, I'm not even trying to angle that.
A decent enough runner. You got to give him at least that. But his throwing.
Would you rather have Arch or Michael Hawkins running? Is the thing.
It's a toss up. It's two different breeds right there.
And Hawkins is faster.
Yeah, Hawkins is faster, but Arch is like he's more of a power runner. Like
sure.
I bet you I would feel more confident putting Arch Manning in 3rd and 2 situation running the ball.
That's fair.
1st and 10, 2nd and 10. I like Hawkins, but I get what you're saying though.
Yeah,
and like I think when it comes down to it's like, we are hyper fixated on how can this quarterback beat Texas, right? And that's what we're talking about. What did he look like in this game that shows me that he can go out there and beat Texas? But I think we've seen on the other side of the ball is Arch Manning has not showed us anything that he can go out and beat a big opponent himself. So we can just say the quarterbacks go out there, do your thing, and we will get some fun big plays from him, like we saw him make in this game. But there's going to be some other other plays that we're going to be really frustrated whenever he misses a throw, misses a wide open receiver, throws it too high. We saw that plenty this game. He's going to do that again, but we're hoping that the other parts of our offense and if they can come out and show out, and then especially our defense can be the one to win us the football game.
Yeah, and I thought some of the more, glaring issues on this offense, the offensive line play I thought was uninspiring. And to some degree, you have to just look at it and be like, these guys just didn't show up for the game.
I love that word.
What, uninspiring?
Yes.
I mean, it was.
So, it's so business of you. It's like you could say negative things, but uninspiring just seems so nice.
There's something funny about it. I don't know. It was not. It left a lot to be desired. There's another one for you, Jameson.
Yeah,
they looked like they wanted. Easy. They looked like they wanted to be anywhere else but there. And it's just one of those things that to me, I don't think you're going to have that issue against Texas. But that's a thing that really it's unacceptable at this level. Regardless of your opponent, you kind of gotta go all. You have to have the respect to the game for the game to go all out. And I think they put Hawkins in some tough positions, got sacked a couple times. And overall, I don't think we'll have that issue against Texas to that degree.
He does kind of worryingly hang on to the ball a little bit long, I feel like, which I didn't feel like I saw from him a ton last year. So it might just be a chemistry with, again, completely different receivers as a group than he's used to playing with. He certainly favored Satania, which we'll talk about here shortly. But I think my biggest thing on Hawkins that I forgot to mention is he's played in big games. He came in and looked very solid in that Tennessee game. Obviously, big changeup. We still lost the game, and it was a home environment. But he came into a very tough situation in Tennessee, and it very much looked like the better quarterback because of his composure. Very composed.
What other big games did he look good in?
He was good enough to beat Auburn. Yeah, and then frankly, I don't blame him. And this is not a bit blaming Bobby, but I don't blame him for the bowl game loss that he started in either. Right, like that we performed well at the start, and then things fell apart. So
we were very uninspiring in that game. Ty,
I have seen
there were so many drives that were promising and just fizzled out, and that game sucked.
But I've seen promising things from Michael Hawkins, and I think that regardless of how this goes, next Saturday, and I'm not hedging here, but does Michael Hawkins finish his career at OU? Probably not, but maybe because he's continued to stick around. But I think his legacy as a Sooner will be looked upon favorably, regardless of, unless it's like a generational stinker on Saturday or something.
It's really, I think it's a good point because his future at OU is completely dependent on this next stretch of games of how long he plays. It seems like Venables is not very optimistic about Mateer playing in this, and that could all just be politics. That could just be like, congrats, we got Mateer out here. You schemed for the wrong person. But I think that if he goes out and does really well, Ty, and he wins us some football games, then Mateer is leaving for the draft next year based off the way that the quarterbacks are looking in college football right now. People want to draft quarterbacks, and the guys that they thought they were going to draft don't look like those kind of guys.
You're going to get Nussmeier.
Yeah,
The
like
move.
yeah, you want Nussmeier, Drew Aller, like Arch
Lagway.
Manning, like that.
Or I guess
That
he
I
can't.
mean, Lagway's not eligible.
Yeah, he needs another year.
But still, like it's been a disappointing quarterback year, and so if Hawkins goes out there and looks good, then we feel really damn good about an upperclassman quarterback coming into the team next year, and we don't have to worry about the portal. But the other side of that, if he doesn't look good enough, we're Oklahoma. We feel very confident that we could go into the portal and grab another really high-end quarterback that'd be a higher performance than him and say, I'm sorry, we tried, and we really appreciate everything you did for us, but I think we just are going to move on to something else, and he's got to respect that.
And it's clear they have a lot of value in Hawkins Jr., especially for his future. Venables at the start of the season did mention multiple times that they're planning to redshirt him, and were intentional about not getting him in games. Didn't make an appearance against not Northern Illinois, sorry, Illinois State. So it's one of those things where they're clearly trying to keep him long term. They have a plan for him. So I wouldn't quite 100% say, oh, he'll definitely be a Sooner forever, but I don't think this is a situation where he's auditioning for the portal by any means.
Yeah, I think that I think what it comes down to, it's not like this is a make or break and all the pressure's on his shoulders, but I think the reality of it is that we hold ourselves to a high expectation, and he's now had multiple opportunities to go out and show out, so he really needs to go out and show out. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And of course the playbook opens up all the way for Texas. That's always the case. So
Well,
yeah, I think
with the restrictions and maybe a guy that it wasn't built around.
And I think it's like a really key thing here is what I think all of the hype for him and the good props to him in the offseason was his development as a passer. In this game, you could tell that within the offense, we were trying to push him out of his comfort zone as a passer. The easy thing to do is to get out of the pocket, run, and scramble all the time, because that's what he did, and that's how he won that Auburn game. But whenever you know that and you become one-dimensional, like when we were talking last season, we're saying Hawkins is great, but he's one-dimensional, and these teams can scheme against it. And if his first read's not there and you QB contain, he's screwed. And so Texas last year completely played that defense first, and they said, we'll take away your first read, and then we're going to make things uncomfortable for you. We don't believe in you to go out and make a play. And if you're going to run, good luck with 2 yards. And that's why we fizzled out all game. And I think that right now, if he goes through his progressions and he makes these plays that take a little bit longer in the pocket, that's a good thing for us moving forward, even if it doesn't look pretty, because it's at least some kind of progression from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the offense is in a better place for him to do that too. He actually has guys to throw the ball to. It's not a situation where if you can't have Michael Hawkins run, you are screwed, which is, something we learned pretty quickly against Texas, which was a game, like, if you remember that first half, like, OU was in it. They took the first lead of the game and just couldn't do anything on offense to make it a serious, attempt, and just kind of fell apart there at the end. But I don't know, in terms of my confidence in it, I don't think anything about this Kent State game changed it. It's still at a level where I don't think quarterback play is going to win us that football game. And hopefully we get a miracle and John Mateer comes in and everything's good with his thumb. We'll see. But I don't know. I'm not gushing over the possibility of Hawkins Jr. I hope he does well. I hope he shows out. But
he could still make what I'm expecting from him is he's going to make 1 or 2 big plays that are going to be awesome, because that's what he is. He's a big play waiting to happen. Then he's going to make 4 or 5 head scratchers, and we're just going to have to lean on other parts of our defense. Other parts of our team. Yeah,
there will be drives that stall out. That will happen, and it's going to happen at a higher rate. Hell, it happened with Mateer from time to time. Like that Auburn game, there were some tough drives that kind of fizzled out.
This might be a difference in terminology between Jameson and I, but if you got a guy for me that's going to give you 3 or 4 just amazing plays throughout a game, and then like 3 or 4 head scratchers, that's fine because I imagine a head scratcher of like a fairly important third down, but then you just make like an atrocious throw and it doesn't complete or something. Like head scratcher versus like head and hands or surrender cobra are like, I don't, if you were meaning those, then maybe I feel differently. But head scratcher where it's just like, what was that?
My head scratcher was like, there was one play where he was getting uncomfortable in the pocket. Our blocking scheme could have been a little bit better. And he had this really wide gate and he just yeeted it. And like,
we're thinking about the same thing.
To the left side of the field. I'm like, what do you think? What do you think?
But a head scratcher is not like a pick six.
Yeah, and I mean, you never know. I think that he's the type of guy that, in the way he plays the game, he's not as much of a risk taker in that stand of things. But as a quarterback, that's always a possibility whenever you go against a high end defense like Texas.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to. I think with the OU's defense, it's okay to play within your game. It's okay to be a little bit conservative. Like if you can minimize the mistakes you make on offense, give the defense as much opportunities as possible to make Arch Manning's life hell. Get turnovers, get sacks. Those game-breaking moves. On both sides. Like Texas is going to be gunning for Hawkins Jr. or Mateer or whoever just as much as we'll be gunning for Manning, and it's about who can prevent the most amount of mistakes possible and who can create the most amount of just chaotic, intense moments possible. Like this is kind of that type of game. I don't want to say it always has been in Red River, but it's when there's a mistake or a massive play made, one, are you the one creating more of them? And two, if you have one happen to you, how can you recover? How can you respond to that? And I think that matters in most games, but in Red River, more than anything, it's everything, because that crowd flips. It can change. It can go from feeling like a home game to a road game real quick. Mm-hmm. And momentum it's not just a mental thing in this one. It's palpable. It's loud. It's physical. I think that's what makes that game so damn fun.
Here's a good podcasting question for both you guys, and quick plug for our pod later in the week with our good friends Chris Eilenstein, who went to Texas, big Texas fan, and knows his sports. We'll be sure to ask him this too. But do y'all think, if you're Texas, does your game plan against OU really change that much between Hawkins and Mateer? Because if I'm Texas, here's my thing though. If I'm Texas, right, and yes, you have those little differences, but if I'm Texas, I'm still looking at non-existent run game from the backs. I know Bobby wants to come up here and hype up that Ott carried the ball for positive yards for the first time in his career. So he got like 20 yards. So we're paying him like $1 million a yard at this point. But I just feel like Texas doesn't, like, you're not going to change who you have in man coverage against certain receivers, right? Like, that doesn't really change. I feel like your scheme in general is still, you're looking at an offense that is just very quarterback centric. And if you can shut down that quarterback, obviously there's some different ways you do that. But I feel like you're just looking at, we're just going to pressure and shut down the quarterback. And then sort of like OU's game plan against Jackson Arnold. It's like, Hawkins or Mateer might get a big chunk play here and there in their own different ways. But I don't know, personally, I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts as ball knowers, but I feel like Texas, it doesn't change that much.
I think post-injury Mateer, you have an argument there, because you're like, I don't know how big of a thrower he's going to truly be to get the ball down the field to the second and third level. Will he just be throwing short and intermediate routes and then run it? And that would be similar to Hawkins. So I see what you're saying there, but I think you can't assume that if you see Hawkins out there, because Hawkins is much better about, getting the ball downfield, finding different reads, hitting especially Kanik going down the middle of the field on his little streaks. I think that it would be a different game plan for sure. And I think Texas would feel a lot more comfortable with that QB contain, that, playing cover zero, like you're talking about, Ty, versus a Hawkins than a Mateer.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that if you're Texas and you see Mateer, that changes a lot, and it kind of evolves over the course of the game to kind of see what he can do. Because if it's short throws only, then yeah, absolutely. But It's going to be a really hard one to prep for.
I know you guys are both going to hate this. Is there a quarterback by committee potential for this game?
Hell no.
No, you don't like the idea of Michael Hawkins being in the ring. You got the John Mateer, WWE rolls out in the wheelchair and then throws the blanket off and jumps up to fight.
If you are putting him out there,
why is he in a wheelchair?
If we are putting Mateer out there just to play two quarterbacks, we should never even have him out there in the first place.
Well,
you don't want to see a set where Mateer is in a club on his throwing hands and Michael Hawkins is they're both lined up in like a Y formation behind the center. You don't know
the tiny little Band-Aid that Mateer had on. Little baby Band-Aid Mateer.
Yeah, well, I will say, at some point this season, when Mateer gets healthy, I think we will see a play where they put Mateer and Hawkins out there at the same time. Arbuckle did it one time at
with
Washington State with Ward and Mateer, and I don't know. I feel like I would like to say I think it's a horrible idea. These never work. I hate those sets.
Okay,
but two, I think it'll happen.
2013 Bedlam denier, Bobby. I caught him.
What? No. 2013 Bedlam had none of the sort. That was just Blake Bell.
Was that not the Blake Bell Trevor Knight shared?
Trevor Knight got hurt, and then they put in
3 quarterbacks: Kendall,
Thompson.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Sleeper agent
they put in the elder Thompson brother. Well, they put in the elder Thompson brother, and they're like, "Ooh, never mind," and put Blake Bell back in. And
we were stoked for Kendall Thompson. Really? Yes,
we were.
Finally.
We were so psyched, and it just didn't.
He threw a deep ball up the middle. It got picked, and we're like, "Ooh,
never mind." And then Blake Bell just somehow out of nowhere cobbled together, just did a beautiful drive. To this day, that's probably one of my favorite drives.
Super Bowl champion Blake Bell.
Yeah,
Super Bowl champion Blake Bell.
Back to Kent State. What you were talking about earlier, Bobby, about I think putting Texas in the uncomfortable positions to where we can take the momentum. I think that getting 2 turnovers in this game really put a monkey off of our back. They don't have to answer that question anymore. The defense doesn't have to worry about that. The defense feels so confident in everything that they've done this season, but then they have just that little thing that people can kind of poke and prod at. Not anymore. Strip sack, interception, fumble and interceptions now off the table. We don't have to worry about that anymore. They can just play freely again. And now it's like going to the free throw line. You missed a couple of your shots in the first part of the game. You're still winning, but you need to see something go through the hoop. I think our Mason Thomas is going to be coming off the edge with this offensive tackles for Texas, and I think Arch Manning might be in trouble.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be open season on Arch. I feel like, and I think Texas's O-line, lost a lot of guys last year, and it's clear they are not the same unit as before. They are hurting. And by the way, side note on that turnover from last time out, I'm so happy that Grayson Halton was the one to get the touchdown.
Yeah,
because we've been talking about that missed opportunity against Temple, the past couple of weeks. So I'm glad that he was the one to get it. So that was delightful. But yeah, I mean, OU's defense is going to put the pressure heavy on Arch and Texas. I would be shocked to see anything but that. That D-line is going to have a real opportunity to cause some absolute havoc for sure.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see both sides of the ball. Maybe a little bit less, but we'll see. They're getting, well, maybe they're not getting better because it was Kent State, but maybe a little bit less excited to see OU's O-line. But I'm very excited to see the lines on both sides of the ball on both teams in this game. Like as a ball not knower, as a line not knower, I'm still very excited to see this line play because this is the kind of game that you're going to hear referenced in passing 5-10 years down the road when some NFL team has one of Texas's D linemen and one of OU's D linemen who played in this game. Or an O lineman and a D lineman or something, and they're friends. Like this is one of the ones where you see the guys making bets in the locker room or something because there is so much talent, there is so much depth on both these teams, especially on the D lines and on the O lines to a lesser extent. But yeah, super excited for that one.
Dude, David Stone's going to be that dude
Yes.
in the NFL.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
so freaking
That's
good.
so awesome.
Every single game. You know how hard it is to pop as a defensive tackle every single game? This guy continues to do it. Like, he's obviously scrapped his way into the starting lineup. He's getting closer and closer to the point where it's like, is he our best interior defensive lineman? Is he going to take that from Jaden Jackson? I didn't think I'd ever say that because Jaden Jackson does so much that you don't see. But David Stone is absolute disruptor, man. Like, I know it's Kent State, but my God, he continues to do it.
Well, keep in mind, Jaden Jackson didn't play in this one, too. So it gave a lot more oxygen for Stone just completely just kill it. And, I mean, he was unbelievably impressive. Whoever convinced him to stay, I'm very thankful for that. Shout out to that. I, for one, never believed that we should let David Stone walk.
Here's the thing to think about, though, and this is very like OU propaganda-esque. And yes, I understand that we weren't on the gas, we weren't throwing everything out there in this game. But if you were to look at the D-line performances and stats by game, and like in the blind, like you didn't have any other qualifying information, it was just game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, you had no other context, you would look at this game versus like the Auburn game or versus like the Michigan game, and you'd be like, okay, this must have been one of the tougher, like they got 10 sacks against this other team. That must have been Kent State. That must have been the worst team on their schedule. Like, it's the fact that the performance declines because we're backing off and actually spikes when we play the better teams is just, I mean, it's like I really just want to highlight as OU fans, like how lucky we are. Cause I feel like we're spoiled on quarterbacks, we're spoiled on running backs and receivers and everything offense in general. Like this D-line is special. This D-line is something that is insane. And it's definitely something to look out for. And I have to mention it because I'm a Brent Venables believer now. All of those Clemson defenses were D-line centered. Brent Venables D-lines carried Dabo Swinney, as a friend of the podcast, will not mention his name, but Mr. Clean likes to say. They carried that guy who maybe can't coach to several national championships. So I mean, it's immaculate what they've been able to do. I feel like I've said it every show, but you know what Todd Bates and Michael Chavis have done is just unreal. They've replicated Clemson in the perfect way on that end, and you know this is going to go down with some of their best work without a doubt. The depth is unreal. Like that, obviously Stone is the star.
It ain't stopping. It ain't stopping, Bobby. Like the future looks good. Like you see Okoye, the way he came off the line. My God.
Yeah. No, I mean it's deep, it's young, it's absolutely just intense, and it's a clear message. If you're trying to be a star in the NFL and at the defensive tackle position, the defensive end position, you come to Oklahoma and you are going to wreak havoc on the biggest stage possible. And that's what they tried to do. That was the goal. And it has absolutely come to fruition now. And if they can just keep chaining massive guys, you know, just keep getting these recruits together. Like you could, you could get a nice little, D-line factory going here.
Oh yeah. We'll probably get another edge rusher in the portal next year. And then like, it'll come down to you have Jaden Jackson, David Stone in the middle. And then you got Wine, PJ will probably come back. And then Okoye, which is like stellar.
We're already,
well, you know who's like the perfect example of like a portal guy is Marvin Jones Jr. You know, he was a guy who's bounced around all throughout college, and I feel like he's improved this year. And I think that's a huge selling point.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the fact that there's very real potential that at a time shortly in the future, OU will hold the title of both QBU and D-line U in the NFL is very, very exciting.
Well, they do have a pedigree of D-linemen. You know, Leroy Selman,
the best,
Tommy
so
Harris.
Actually, the best OU player that's ever played in the NFL by NFL record. Gerald McCoy was in fact a D lineman, and it's awesome that we are now living up to Gerald McCoy's legacy. May he rest in peace. He is very much alive and well.
Never forget
retired.
But, yeah. He's literally on our intro video every week, Ty. He narrates it every week.
He is my Andre Iguodala. Yeah, he is my Iguodala. If I could choose one former Sooner to come back and play quarterback in this game, it'd be Gerald McCoy. Oh my God. Any position, kicking.
Okay.
Pat McAfee kick for $500,000 or whatever. What was that this weekend?
We're not going
to talk about this. But
that was lame.
I want to talk more about the defense a little bit, and then we have to talk about the running backs too.
Yeah,
I know Bobby's been just like, we haven't talked about the running backs. I know. I'm ready.
I'm like the format. We haven't even thought about the format.
No, this is the way I want podcasts to go. I think the defense as a whole, like the defensive line just dominating this game. Like, I'm not going to overreact about the cornerbacks playing off. Cortland Guillory giving up a bubble. Cortland Guillory giving up like a curl route. I'm not worried about that. I'm not concerned about it at all, because this is Kent State and their offense. I think that we've seen Cortland Guillory do what he needs to do on a bigger media market and playing Auburn. And whenever you put him out on an island, and they believed in him to do that. So I'm not going to overreact from this game at all, because the play calling from Kent State is not what it's going to be versus Texas.
Right. And there were like a couple, they had like a couple drives. That's about it. But, I think if you did have to point to a weak point in the defense, definitely the cornerbacks. I don't know. What would you think about Eli Bowen being back?
Any thoughts on his performance? Didn't really hear much from him. That's like, I hate saying this over and over, but like, that's great for a cornerback. I don't really have too much to say about it. I'd have to probably go on to like the bird's eye view, all 22 view, and just kind of watch him a little bit. And the reality of it is, whenever you're going against a team that throws for, like just over 150 yards or just under 150 yards, like, I'm not really going to have too much to say.
Yeah, that's just kind of, it's Kent State.
You'll see. What I'm curious about with him is, how is he going to move whenever he's guarding the Texas wide receivers? Because like we said, we have shown success playing a quarterback that we don't believe can throw the ball at a high level by stacking the box and making it hell with the pass rush. Arch Manning is not Jackson Arnold, but his throwing ability is not that good either. So I wouldn't be surprised if we will see some similar things to where we play cover zero. We put Guillory and Eli Bowen on islands and see what happens. We might get burned. We might get some DPIs, but that's what I'm going to see, because we always knew that whenever Eli Bowen was healthy last year, that guy stuck to defenders like glue. Now, did he get a couple of times where people mossed him because he's 5'9"? Yes, but that dude was always next to the receivers. And I want to see if he's still doing that coming off this injury.
Yeah, Ryan Wingo, I feel like from Texas, is definitely going to be the guy to look out for on that end. 6'2", definitely their best receiver, I believe. That'll be a tough guard for sure. I don't think he's no Cam Coleman, but
their best wide receiver, if you're going to say it, is like Ryan Wingo. You could say DeAndre Moore. Out of those two guys, I would pick the two Auburn guys over them both, over the Texas guys. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy, far and away. I don't even think there's an argument there.
Now, would you pick Arch over Jackson Arnold?
Yes.
Surely, right? Like, come on. There's no way he's that bad.
Ties over there smirking.
I do have to say, right?
Look, if we come back to this podcast on Sunday, and I know this is just prime arrogance right now, like we're just setting ourselves up for failure, maybe. But if we come back and we're having the who was a worse quarterback discussion between Arch and Jackson Arnold, I'm just saying.
Don't hedge, Bobby. We're in sports media. We say what we want to.
There's two
That's never burned us before.
Yeah, there's two things that need to be mentioned here. One, we've been in 30 something minutes, and we have not mentioned how Texas has screwed both us and themselves over by losing a very winnable game against Florida and robbing us of a top 10 matchup, because they know that they're so, like, the media loves Texas so much. And I'm not bitter about this. Like, I'm very realistic about this. They're a massive market. Of course they will. If they could have won at Florida, and then if they beat us, they would have had them number 2 in the rankings. Easy. Like they would have jumped Miami. People would have said, "Oh, tough loss against Ohio State." Like, week 1, blah blah blah. Like they beat a very solid OU team. Like everything else. Now that they're unranked, it screws everyone over. Like no one wins from Texas being unranked, regardless of the outcome. So it's unfortunate that they have already marred the legacy of this game with their performance.
Look, it's OU Texas is my thing. Like the game always means a lot.
No, it absolutely means a lot.
I know. But for me, it's like on one hand, yeah, it would have been really cool to see the top 10. But on the other hand, OU has the chance to fully throw the dagger into any hopes Texas has at making the playoffs. Like just completely kill it. This Texas team with that record or with that schedule cannot survive like a 9-3 season at best if you beat them in Red River. And that to me, I think there's something about sending them home and be like, hey, I know you're ranked preseason number 1, pat you on the head, enjoy the Outback Bowl if you're lucky, fellas. Like that would be that's satisfying. And what privilege we have to be at a position as OU fans where you're entering a 5-0 and you're like, oh, this is a bummer. Texas isn't good enough.
It's like old times.
It is. It kind of feels like that a little bit. Yeah.
I also have to say, something that you made me think of that makes me absolutely sick, but Texas losing this game probably does knock them out of the playoffs versus Penn State, who will probably lose another game on their schedule and still make the playoffs, which is absolutely sickening. Okay. No one has been more accurate.
Worst losses.
No one has been more accurate about Penn State than I this entire football season. So we'll see. But I do have to say as well, as we continue on, Texas is lucky. Like I don't want to dog on Arch too much. They would be 1-4 with Quinn Ewers. So thank goodness for Arch carrying them to 3 wins so far.
All right. So let's talk a little bit.
Bobby really wants to talk about one guy I didn't really want to talk about.
I do. I'm Tate Sandell. Dude, we have a good ass kicker for the first time in a good while. I feel like this guy is a long range threat. And I really appreciate him. I was very impressed with him. 3 for 3, long of 55. When is the last time you saw an OU kicker hit a 55-yarder, Jameson?
Been a while. I'm not going to say some of the ones that were recently, but it's been a while. I don't know the exact thing off the top of my head, but I'm sure Honeycutt tried.
He's hit 55 charges.
No. Look, just as long as Sandell doesn't kick a burrito, we're okay. Just keep his leg away from the burrito.
Burkich definitely kicked a long one.
Yeah, we've had some solid. You're acting like we've been suffering.
Not a 55-yarder, did he?
No.
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like he hit like an absolute bomb one time. But here's the thing: what we think about kickers and their leg strength now is completely shifted. Like the game of football is completely shifted. Like the NFL, like a 55-yarder is a 45-yarder now. I think I heard that exact quote from one of the NFL games this afternoon. It's really true. What kickers can do right now, it's ridiculous.
Hand up, Burkich had a 56-yarder. He had 2 56-yarders against Tulane and Western Carolina. At the time, it was the longest field goal since 1977. So,
yeah, we got to.
That being said, we have a good kicker.
Yeah, we've got an interesting little kicking matchup here. UT San Antonio versus Texas State transfers, Mason Shipley versus Tate Sandell in the Red River rivalry. So we're going to have a little fun battle of I-35 Texas.
House divided, Jameson.
Kicking rivalry here too. And then honestly, our punting game, we're really saving the rushing, our running attack for the end of the podcast if we're going to hit special teams right now. Like Grayson Miller, dude. like that guy is good. The guy, he's got a leg and he's got accuracy. Like that feels really damn good to have a good punter that I can feel confident in whenever we will get in positions in the Texas game where we need to win the field position battle.
A UCO transfer, which is just wild to me. And wasn't starting at the start of the season. And they've asked Venerables about it and he's been like, yeah, he was not very, in his nice way, he said essentially he was not very good. And he was like soundly defeated in camp, and I guess he just showed up and just started cooking. So
that makes me nervous.
That
Hopefully, he
is
continues
the-
doing well.
Yeah.
look, I've seen it on the field. I feel good about it. Like that, I care more about on-field performance than practice performance, especially with
The
kicking.
practice. We talking about practice?
Like, how many times have we heard things about kickers who are underperforming? They're like, well, he's great in practice.
Kicking and punting is different. Kicking and punting is 1,000% different.
It's still performing
is-
in a moment.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
a kick is a pressure. That is like legitimately going out there and making a free throw. You know, here I go, another basketball reference. You know, making your technical free throw. You know, punting is you're just going up. That's just routine stuff for you.
True. All right, let's talk about the running backs. Unless
Bobby wants to. He said, "Come
Let's
on,
talk about the
I
running
really
backs.
want to talk about him." You say his name. I'm not going to say.
So
Fellas,
that's
fellas.
an amazing transition from kickers to running backs, because I can think of two amazing stories involving a kicker, and not amazing in a good way. I can think of two notable, infamous stories involving a running back and a kicker, both that occurred at Pickleman's.
Oh, please, for the love of God. Look, so let's talk about Jaden Knott. Are we back? Are we back, Jameson?
No, I'm
No,
not.
no.
You're not kicking this to me.
He
I'm
averaged.
making Bobby.
No.
make this take
I got
first.
you.
No,
I
no,
got
no.
you, Jameson. He averaged the same yards per carry as Whit Neubauer did against Kent State. So, are you going to tell me that Whit Neubauer is going to be a solid runner against?
That is such a
Wait,
box score take.
Yeah, he
It's
ran
true,
3
though.
times for 10 yards. Come on now. No,
Wait,
but here's
Whit
my thing.
Neubauer. No, because Whit Neubauer got sacked once, right?
Yes, he did.
So that's screwed. I
Yeah.
don't think that they averaged the same amount.
So here's my thing. I don't think we're back. I don't think we're back just yet, but we have a glimmer of hope, which is something
He's
that
never
I did
been
not
there.
have until that
He
game.
can't be back. He
do you
cannot be
mean?
back. He's never been there in an OU jersey.
No, back is in like the hype train, like the Jaden Knott hype train, the ought to go, all of that. Like I'm all in. I was all in. I've been let down, but you know what? I'm seeing a glimmer of hope on the horizon. I know it's just like, I know it's just Kent State, but he was doing some stuff that I liked. I liked the way he ran.
I will say I like that play where he kept up and they called him forward progress with Shutt, but he would have probably gone on for another 15, 20 yards and standing up with our offensive lineman pushing.
Yeah, it's there's the basis of something here. Now, I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition or not, but if you just look at the mechanics, the way he's running, there's some reason for a little bit of hope that maybe Jaden Knott could be a factor to some degree this season.
Yeah, I am really not surprised at all, Ty, that Bobby just gets a little bit of glimmer of hope and he starts clawing at it and he's already back on the Jaden Knott train. We played Kent State, one of the worst teams in all of FBS, and infamous for giving how many yards versus Florida State in the rushing game. I'm not gonna talk bad about Jaden Knott. Not in that business right now.
I will. Very shortly. Stay
I'm
tuned.
proud of him for it seems like showing some initiative in practice, which seemed to be a big barrier in terms of him playing. I think the coaching staff is just looking for anything that they can to give him a chance. And it seems like they finally at least gave him something. Hopefully that continues to be a thing, and I'll have a different take next week. Tell me what you're thinking, Ty, because you obviously, if you want to be a hater,
you
as
actually,
chief hater
no,
of the
no.
podcast,
I will say you did say something right that actually is very compelling to me. If I read in between the lines, there very much is the possibility that he is a solid dude that just wants to go out there and execute good football plays, and it just hasn't been clicking with the coaching staff and everything else. And maybe a moment like that has occurred. They spend so much time practicing and with the staff and with the coordinators and everything else. You never know. It could have just clicked. I'll be the first to say, and this is not a bit, right? I genuinely am now seeing the light with Brent Venables, regardless of how this season pans out, he is able to play to his strengths and when he is able to manage the team in a way that is conducive towards his skill set. He really is really good. I'll change my tune on anyone, especially if they're in an OU jersey and they're producing good stuff for us. And the stuff that we've seen from Ott, right? He also, just hasn't really been the primary carrier. So it has been a bunch of other stuff. Am I buying into him because he was good against Kent State? No. I was roasted for years on this podcast. Jake Knott's best game in an OU jersey, if you look at the stats, is like a mid to low performance from Marcus Major in an OU jersey. So, right, that's important context. And I'll spam Bobby with stats if he wants to shake his head all night. I'll spend all night on ESPN pulling up box scores and showing him. But could he have a breakout game? Absolutely. We've seen it before. He was legitimately very good at Cal, but it's just sometimes running backs just have these moments in the sun that are never to be repeated. And, unfortunately, that guy at Oklahoma State comes to mind. And it's kind of the most recent thing, but there's a lot of cases of like people just have breakout seasons sometimes, and then it's not replicated. So, but I'll tell you, I'm not afraid of changing my tune on Jake Knott. I hope, I really genuinely wish that he will have his moments in Red River where he proves me and all the doubters wrong, and he comes just tuned in, locked in for a big game and can help present something that, if any one of the backs pops off, it's really going to screw Texas, because you have to know that they're planning for it, yes. And there's a lot of stuff that shuts down the run game that also shuts down, like a quarterback contain. But if one of these backs just pops off as a monster in this game, Texas is not going to know what to do with that, because why would you prepare for that? It's one of those, I don't even know. It's like you live in I don't know, I lost my analogy there, but I don't know. It's like you live in Egypt by the pyramids and you get hit with a massive Buffalo, New York blizzard. You're there's no way this is going to happen. That's if OU has a back come out for 200 yards against Texas.
There's no freaking way.
They're not going to.
Well,
I
mean, I agree.
I want Bobby. Bobby has to eat 20 Fruity Pebble pickles if we have a 200-yard.
No,
shirt.
we don't. You don't get to decide that. I have to decide that. I must choose that path. Much like Dylan Gabriel,
I will eat the Fruity Pebble pickle. Okay,
no.
I'll bear the burden.
Okay, you do it. You make yourself your own Fruity Pebble pickle.
He wants to. No, he just wants you to. This is
you're trying to Briar Patch this, Jameson.
World's worst reverse psychology.
Awful. Anyways,
I think that
no,
I think
and
that
my thing is
the language on Ott though is, I think Ty's right, and I think you're a little right, Bobby. Is I'm glad that we saw him, and I'm glad that the verbiage changed on him. But I don't think taking his box score and his stats and the way he looked on Saturday is going to convince me any different of how he is until I actually see it on a big performance and it actually matters. But I think that the biggest thing we always knew was the coaches didn't want to play him much because he wasn't showing out in practice. And whether that be a mental thing, barrier with injuries, we don't know. But it seems like that changed this past week.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying at this point, I'm not even asking for a superstar. I'm not asking for the star version of Jaden Ott we thought we were going to get. I just want a productive running back.
Well,
and that's a bar I think he can hit this year. And at a point, Jameson, we were ready to give up on him. I think we all kind of had given up on him. So to me,
I told you I wasn't going to say his name during a podcast, but here we are.
Yeah. If we could get anything out of Ott, there you go.
I have two things. I have three things. One, I have given up on him. That was the whole crux of the I can be proven wrong thing. And that has not changed. But it's not about what he actually did. To me, this is 100% political. This is when your world leader takes a photo of another or with another world leader, shaking hands, or
Bobby's nervous.
when your reality show stars, no, you don't need to be. When your reality show stars that the media is saying they've broken up and then they post an Instagram story together, whatever Ott did performance wise is irrelevant. The fact that the staff put him in as firmly the RB2, if you look at just the plays that he was put in for, is a big show of unity, show of you're posting that picture of shaking hands in front of the flags, or you're posting that picture, of like the celebrities out on a date when TMZ said they broke up. Like it's not about what they did on the date. It's not about what the world leaders discussed. It was about the fact that they heard all of that talk, heard all of that chatter, and went and said, no, we still believe in this guy. And he's still on this team, and he's still going to go out there. And no matter what, he's still going to go take hard hits from guys, whether it's Kent State, whether it's Ohio State, right? You're still taking a smack when you get tackled with that football at the D1 level. And to me, that is the absolute biggest
thing. You know who we also got to see snaps of? Gabe Sawchuk. That's funny. I don't know.
Yeah, that was nice. Good.
That's
yeah,
nice.
Honestly, good for the Sawchuk family. They're doing well.
Yeah. No, Gavin's obviously been doing great with Florida State. Like it's good. That was a rough situation. Good to see Gabe still there, but
I think Gavin has nothing but love for Oklahoma, which is the great thing.
It just wasn't. He gave it so many shots trying to make it work. Like, totally get it.
Yeah. Let's talk, Brian. We talked a lot about Texas kind of intertwined within this podcast, but I think that we can kind of put a bow on the Kent State game. We kind of talked through everything there, and I think we can kind of do some overarching themes of Texas. But like you said, we will have another dedicated podcast completely going over this game with a Texas fan and Chris that'll be coming out in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. And obviously, just another plug, we have our Texas State Fair food preview that we will be doing tomorrow. Go through everything Texas State Fair like we do every year, which is our favorite, probably my favorite podcast to do every single year outside of like everything we do. That is like my favorite. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then obviously weekend spread with all of our betting picks on Wednesday. Oh my God, I'm so excited for tomorrow. Oh, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah, it's legit like the best week of the year for our podcast. It's busy. We do a lot of shows, but it's just genuinely so fun. It feels like a big event. It is a big event, and I'm just so pumped about all the stuff we got coming up here. So
yeah, I want to make a point on Texas that we talked a little bit about earlier that I think is like really crucial, Ty, that I think a lot of people are saying right now is like, we're mad at Texas for losing to Florida. Like, how dare they not fatten up that pig before the slaughter, coming into this game. It does scare me as a person who looks at history. I don't want to look at history too much. That's how you really screw up picking games. Like, this Brent Venables teams is different than the Lincoln Riley and the Bob Stoops teams. It's a completely different identity. But whenever you see a Texas team come into a game where they're not as highly thought of, in Oklahoma, I know we're not the betting favorite, but the personal, like I'm sure a lot of people on College Game Day, big time analysts, will be picking Oklahoma to win this game. Whenever they are doubted, that's whenever things get scary. Like, think about 2018. That's the year that comes to my head. Think about the Case McCoy. Was that 2014 or 2013? 2013, wherever
we were
Case
at that
McCoy
one.
We were 12th ranked, and we got worked by Case McCoy. Like, these games, Texas comes in and they like being the underdog, and they give us problems there because this is a true rivalry game. Whenever you are down, whenever you haven't done well that season, whenever you're not ranked, it does not matter because this is the game that everyone looks forward to, and they put out their best show.
Yeah, Texas loves pulling the call an ambulance, but not for me sort of thing.
Honestly.
Do we not? Like, that's the nature of a true college football rivalry game. Is like you want to be the underdog.
I mean, sometimes
when was the last time we had an underdog win? I'm just like
Gabriel.
The Dylan Gabriel one was a big one. You're right.
But like, they're so rarely underdogs. They've been so they have not been dogs often in past 25 years.
We were number 12. We were number 12. So it wasn't like we were like on the outs, like really, really
we're 6-point dogs.
Yeah, but still, like, we were number 12 versus number 3. That's still like a high end opponent. I'm thinking, like, when was the last time we were like unranked in the dumps and we came out and won? Like, we had that one quadruple overtime win where I don't think we were ranked and but Texas still wasn't like some god at that point either.
Yeah, in 2020.
Let's say, honestly, it's been a long time because Oklahoma all through the 2000s were highly ranked teams whenever we won games. Like, just going back through 2000, I have it pulled up right now. Whenever we've won 2009,
Landry, we didn't win,
lost
but Landry Jones almost beat the Colt McCoy Texas team. That
Yeah,
went to
well,
the
we got an
national
almost.
title.
No, actually,
That's really it. That's really the
I
only.
pulled it up. Yeah, I looked it up. The biggest upset in terms of spread was 20 years ago in 05.
And when
That
Texas
doesn't
beat
make
us
sense.
big time.
What do you mean?
When
that
they
doesn't make
murdered
sense?
us.
Yeah, they destroyed us that year.
Yeah, Vince Young and the Bomar year. That was not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going back to 2000. So whenever we've won, we've been the number 10 team in 2000. 2001 we were number 3, and
That's
then that was the year where we won 5 years in a row. So 10, 3, 2, 1, 2 in the nation. And then 2007 we won, we were the 10 seed. 2010 we were the 8 seed. 2011 we were the 3 seed. 2012 we were the 13 seed. They're going against a 15 seed, which was a really fun game where we just absolutely just knocked Texas's drawers off. We won as an 11 seed in 2014. We've been ranked every single game as a pretty much highly ranked team, every single Red River rivalry except for 2020. And so we are in a comfortable position right now where we have been in we have high hopes, but it's still scary whenever you play against a Texas team that has nothing to lose.
Yeah, one of my friends said, I think a couple weeks ago, I have not felt this confident about a OU Texas game since the Tyrone Swoops one in 2015.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know. I
hate that.
I feel like this game's an absolute coin flip.
Yeah,
I feel legitimately so nervous because whenever you go to games, Bobby, there have been games where it's been coin flips and we're very nervous, and both teams are nervous, and you're gonna get that at the arena, where you're going to go and see Texas fans and you're going to talk to them. They're like, I don't know, man, I really hate this team. And then we're going to say, I don't know, I don't feel really good about this one either. We're going to be nervous. There's going to be a lot of hedging in the pregame.
The bad smack talk game.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. And honestly, good football is whenever you have those nerves and those jitters and you get into the game and then someone's going to go out and punch first. And that's whenever it comes out, whenever you hear, I've been working on the railroad from Texas, or, and then, or you get the Texas fight chant and you're just like, I just want to hide in a hole. Or we go out there and then our O's on the next kickoff, whenever we just scored, are enveloping the whole stadium.
Right. Yeah. Nothing hits like that entire side, doing the give him hell. Oh, you sucks like that.
Yeah.
Just the pit in your stomach when something bad happens. Like the Worthy touchdown at the start of 2021.
Dude,
and you're just like,
so freaking loud.
Yeah, and that's what makes that game so special and so fun, is that fear of everything going wrong and realizing you're gonna have to walk out of that and deal with them. Avoiding that is everything. And there's just nothing like that.
That's why we love sports. We love high risk situations. We love high pressure where it's high risk, high reward.
Yeah, and that's what's
do you
great
disagree
about
with
this
that? I've always said this, and I guess I got inflamed for this.
College football game is not high risk, high reward. High risk, high reward is like
you need to love the Oklahoma
Sooners
more, baby.
You agree to go out with Mark Sanchez.
It's dude, no, dude. We're talking about sports, in the game.
I'm saying that the pressure that you have to where if you lose Texas. I am at the point where it's like, do not freaking talk to me. A lot of the times I applaud you all, and Bobby does a really good job of this, of making up for the Texas State Fair after the game. A lot of the times I am in such a bad mood that I just completely just throw the rest of my day in the trash. But if you win, you are living on cloud 9.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than taking the sad dart ride. And the worst nail is whatever sometimes we'll have a Texas fan feel bad for you. And that just feels way worse.
That's even
I'm
worse,
no, don't you dare.
Yeah, it does need to be said. This is one of the last bastions of traditional college football. As much as it's been commercialized and everything else, just the atmosphere is you can tell this is what college football is supposed to be. It's the passion and the investment in this game. It's a real rivalry. Both sides care so deeply. The environment, right? It's anyone who's been, you understand. And if you haven't been, frankly, in terms of fan experience and game experience, you're just overtly biased. Like there's no way you can experience the biggest rivalries in college football and not walk away thinking that Red River has the best fan experience and the most investment, especially in close game. Like nothing can come close. Yeah. And then sort of my last point was it does need to be said. Like I really enjoy meeting the Texas fans, especially like when you're stuck in line for like one of the fair foods that we're going to talk about and stuff. And it's just fun. There's fun bonding moments. Like I love talking to them about like what they're studying at UNT and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think too, like
you talk to Oklahoma fans, some of them aren't even studying, Ty. So most of
the Texas fans
are not in the. We can't make Walmart.
Bobby and I one year.
Like a lot of our followers are Walmart fans, man.
Yeah, and that's the great part about college football.
Bobby and I one year were stuck in a like 45-minute to an hour line for some deep fried cornbread, I believe it was.
Cream corn. It was awful.
Cream corn, which is just cornbread. That's what it was. It's just cornbread, if you think about it. And we had these two Texas fans behind us who, for the first like 20 minutes, were talking like mad crap. I forget if we must have lost.
I think we won that one.
Okay, well, they were still talking mad crap. And then eventually, like, Bobby and I were just being so nice that they started to be friendly. And then it came out that they were both current students at Texas A&M. Like head to toe, dripped out in the Texas, like $500, $600 on FanDuel or not FanDuel, Fanatics in Texas gear. And we were like, that's not a real rivalry. Like you cannot convince me that Texas A&M is a real rivalry when you have your students and dressed head to toe. Like I would never go to like OSU Tulsa dripped out in OSU.
You know, I know they're like, I know for a fact there'll be some A&M fans who are like, oh, those were 2%ers. They don't care, you know, but you know, I don't know. That's kind of an example, you know, it's just an anecdotal, but you know, I've had the debate with some folks, you know, one particular in my household who believes that Texas A&M Texas is a bigger rivalry to Texas fans than OU Texas is, which is, I just disagree. But I don't know. I want to say too about the neutral site aspect of it all, the 50-50. I feel like you can tell a proper college football ball not knower by them using that as like a dig against why the rivalry isn't very good. Because they're like, oh, you play neutral site games. It can't be that good. No, it's different. Not play this one at Jacksonville. Like in an NFL stadium. It's different.
I mean, and I'll say still, the Florida Georgia games are always super cool. But it's different. It really does hit different. And I think I know y'all are going to talk with Chris, so I don't really have as much time to talk about my takes for this game. I really would, when it comes down to it, if Oklahoma is going to win this football game, I've kind of hinted on this throughout the podcast, it's going to be straight up a defensive game. It's going to be a low scoring game. I don't think that I see a scenario where I close my eyes and our offense goes out there and we outscore Texas to the point where we win the football game. I think that the final score, Oklahoma wins, it's going to be something where we score 24 points. Somewhere
like it can't be a shootout, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. If Texas scores a lot of points, if it goes out, Texas drives down the field, scores first drive, and then we don't score on the next drive, I'm going to start getting really worried because I worry about that team, you know, being able to put enough points and get back momentum.
Yeah. You're forgetting that there is the very real potential that Arch Manning goes out there and goes all-time quarterback and just alternates throwing touchdown pass to Texas, touchdown pass to OU, touchdown pass to Texas, touchdown pass to OU. So there is that potential that the defense can.
It's crazy to say though, but Arch Manning is like going to be the most competent thrower that we've gone against so far. Underwood was a different quarterback whenever we played him. He's different now. Like this guy looked like a fish out of water playing us. We really made him uncomfortable. But it's at this point where I think at this point in the season, comparing, you know, to what Arch is, I still think that like in terms of putting our secondary out there to go out there and make plays, I think this is going to be their toughest matchup.
Has anyone else
the most OU thing ever for Arch and Texas to finally have a good offensive game and it be against OU? Like it after all of this,
I'm telling you, it's a low stakes game for them.
which
this is going to be Arch's. No,
Like,
it's not low stakes.
It's not like low stakes, but I mean that's maybe being too hyperbolic. I mean, I still think there's higher stakes, but I mean, they've already lost 2 games.
But that's the thing is I feel like in the old world of college football, that's absolutely low stakes because everything's over. But they can still,
But I think there's a lot of dooming Texas fans that have already doomed this season over.
Well, for sure, but inside that locker room and everything, you have 1 conference loss, you have a manageable schedule relatively, you're out of your mulligans. You've burnt your 2 mulligans. You can make a run and you can get into the playoff.
Oh, they can.
If you believe, I don't think they are either. But that's my thing, Jameson. If you believe in yourselves and you're trying to hype everyone up and be like, look, Ohio State lost 2 games and they won the national title. Obviously different situations, but we're in an era where all you have to do is get in. And until you get that 3rd loss, you still have life. Not great life, not a great shot by any means, but that's life nonetheless.
Oh yeah.
Now I know Texas fans will doom. Fans always doom, but this is a situation where Texas might have a little bit they still have stuff to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: it's very improbable, but you got to remember that Florida has a big vote here. Like Florida could magically come together, and then all of a sudden Texas's resume doesn't look so sus. That's a wild take. I understand, but it's like Bobby said though, it's you do not know. In college football nowadays, you're
Florida's
never
at A&M this weekend.
You never know. But I don't know. It like he said, it's a different era of college football, so you do need to adjust expectations. I was gonna say too, and I understand it's 3 guys that have really underperformed, but is OU going to be the first team this season to face 3 5-star quarterbacks? I think so. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head that has faced 3.
So Underwood,
Arnold, Underwood,
and then
Underwood, and then yeah. I mean, I'd say so. So Texas played Julian Sayin, and then they played DJ Lagway, and that's just 2.
It's 2.
Mateer and
Hawkins and Mateer
Hawkins both not 5 stars.
Yeah. So I think that'd be your closest ones. I'd have to look at the SEC schedule because I mean, there's a lot of 5-star quarterbacks in the SEC.
Right. It'd be like
FSU.
I don't know because
no.
Everyone I keep thinking of involves Florida State, and Tommy Castellanos was not 5-star.
Exactly. No, so I think we might be the most we're just making up stats at this point, but
but is Jackson Arnold truly the 5-star quarterback that we thought he was?
Yeah,
and Bryce Underwood was a true freshman.
It is 3 frauds. It is 3 frauds, but
Bryce Underwood's damn good now. He's really starting to put the pieces together. I think that going against Oklahoma at the beginning of your career as a true freshman is obviously really, really hard fought. But I mean, if you come down to
if you ran that back, if Underwood played at OU, let's say next week, Mateer's healthy, you snap your finger, healthy normal offense. How do you think that game goes? I still think it goes poorly.
I still think we win, but I think that Underwood's going to be making a lot more of those throws that he missed. He looked a little bit too rattled, but I think that the way he's playing now, he's looking a lot better.
The problem was
taking Wisconsin as a sample size right now.
The problem was, Bobby, that you got to remember is he was so inaccurate that we couldn't even create turnovers. So him being better might actually get us some interceptions.
That's funny. And that's my thing is I think that the defense generates so much chaos and so many problems that, of course guys look better when they're not playing Oklahoma. And I kind of think that's where the Arch situation. I cut you off, Jameson. I'm so sorry. What were you saying earlier?
I don't even know. I mean, I think this is good. I want to be cut off. This game does. I'm when it comes down to it, we'll pick it on the weekend spread. But I'm deep down. There's I'm nervous for it, and it's good. It's good to feel that. And I think OU fans right now, if you feel a little bit confident, you feel a little bit nervous, whatever you're feeling right now, that's what we want right now, because that's where you get the best kind of games. That's where you go in and you really know that Oklahoma, if we can win this game, This buys us a little more time for Mateer to get healthy. This is a team that really could make the playoffs. And that was a vision last year that we thought was silly. We would laugh. Some people would say we'd call you a homer. And so in terms of this locker room, I know they believe in what they are. They believe very highly of themselves. And there's still going to be some people that are going to hate them. But there's a lot of media analysts right now that have Oklahoma as a darling. But I really think that this game could just throw us up to another echelon toward the point where we're being talked about, because there's no clear who's the best team in college football right now, other than like people say Miami, people say Oregon. But if we beat Texas, I think people will have to throw in Oklahoma into the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think to me, more than anything, this game is going to show us how panicked we need to be about getting Mateer back if he's not back yet. But we'll see.
I'm going to be really surprised if he plays. And I think that Venable is saying in the postgame presser, saying like, we're expecting him not to play. Like I said, that could just all be a ploy, to the point where like allegedly the Chipotle presser and the message boards over on TexAgs have him probably wanting to play. But I think that there's a lot of strategy what comes into it, because I disagree with Ty's take earlier in the podcast. I think that Texas's game planning is going to be completely different if they have to go against Mateer and Hawkins. And any way that you can use injury to your advantage, you do it. If we're going to make them waste time on scheming out John Mateer versus Hawkins, and they have to play two different scout quarterbacks, that's going to waste time that they could do and try to look at something else. So when it comes down to it, I still don't think he plays, just knowing like the medicine of like a fracture in 17 days is very, very optimistic. But at the same time, if he doesn't play, or if he does play, I think that Texas probably put in a lot of time and effort to scheme for two quarterbacks.
Yeah. And I mean, any advantage you can get, you take it. So if it's smoke, it's smoke, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Here's my closing argument for this pod. One, Jameson, we got to get you as an expert witness for like personal injury suits, because that line of any way you can use an injury to your advantage, you should do it. That's amazing. That's music to a class action guy's ears. So that's awesome. I completely. Here's the thing about this game. It matters so much, and this is a silly point to make because this is the one game that we brought with us, but this is why we moved to the SEC, was to play these games where it wasn't certain, because you have to remember, we are in a new era of college football. We're in a new era of everything. Like it cannot be understated with the way that the media landscape has changed, with the way that short form content and clips and stuff on social media has emerged in the past 5 years. I think that has impacted college football as much, if not more, and this is a fringe take, than like the portal and NIL have. And we moved to the SEC to play these games where you weren't certain, because frankly, the future of being relevant in college football is not smoking people by 45 points on Schooner Sports Network and things like that. Like, we cannot just continue to sit in a conference. And I understand we didn't leave with the best performances, but you cannot continue to sit in a conference where you just win year after year and that's it. Like, we moved to this conference, we made these changes to play games like this. And again, this is the game that we brought with us. This was going to be like this either way. But we are in an attention economy right now where you just need the views, you need the clicks, you need the talking points, and you need to be in the room. And this is one of those games that is, you are in the room of discussion. And no matter how it goes, backup quarterback, like that frankly adds even more, because you just look at this OU team and there's so many people that still believe so deeply in Mateer. Guys that are really respected in the college football sphere still have Mateer as a Heisman favorite potentially if he can come back swinging from his injury. So if you can have a guy that many people are saying is a Heisman favorite, do I believe that? I don't know. But If we can win a game like this, I understand Texas is unranked. They have some absolute start. Like, there is NFL talent up and down this Texas roster. They're a well-coached team. Like, I'll make my jokes about Sark later on. He took there's a lot of advantages at Texas, but he took a non-functional program and organization and turned it into one that is very, very relevant, even though they're unranked right now. Like, this is one of those games that college football is all about. People care about it. The fans of every fan base cares about it. It's going to be, even though Texas is not in the top 10 and not even ranked, like, this is going to be one of those games that casuals watch, that people that don't watch OU, that don't watch Texas, that don't like either team, still tune in. Like those A&M fans that still drove on over from College Station, put on their Texas gear, and went to the fair. People pay attention to this one, and this is our moment in the sun. The Michigan game, the Auburn game, everything else, that was to make us relevant so that we could take that national stage and call our shot and show people, no, you were wrong about Brent Venables. You were wrong about OU. We are not the next Nebraska. We belong where we are, and we're going to punch you in the mouth and show you. And that is what this game is all about.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's like the high stakes of it for us. Like, I understand it's controversial saying Texas isn't as high stakes. It's higher stakes for Oklahoma. It is a huge, huge deal for us. And I think there's going to be a lot of setbacks. And this game is not going to be a fun one to watch all the way through. It's going to be a roller coaster, but that's why we love college football. And I'm really excited to get in more to it.
Yeah. Yep. Those games always just high intensity, intense a lot. But nothing's better than winning that hat, taking it back to Norman. All right. That is all we have for tonight, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow to preview the State Fair of Texas, talk about our favorite eats, our favorite methods of, just how to operate in the State Fair. We mentioned it earlier, one of our favorite podcasts of the year. Super excited about that. So make sure to tune in tomorrow at 8:30 Central for that. We'll be back on Tuesday as well to preview the Texas game with our good friend Chris Eilenstein. Just excellent, football mind, knows his Longhorns. And of course, on Wednesday for the weekend spread with Boat and Blake, we'll pick all of our games, including this one. So plenty of content. Best way to see that, subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcasting app for all of those shows as they come in. But anyways, for me, Jameson and Ty, this has been the Schooner Pod. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Boomer Sooner, everybody. Beat Texas.